It was Easter weekend, and the small town of Willow Creek was filled with the joyful sound of children laughing as they hunted for Easter eggs. But amidst the festivities, a sinister figure lurked in the shadows, waiting to strike. The townspeople had heard rumors of a serial killer on the loose, but they dismissed it as just another urban legend. Little did they know that the rumors were all too true. The killer, dressed in a grotesque Easter bunny costume, began his killing spree on the first day of Easter weekend. He crept through the town, stalking his prey, and leaving a trail of blood and horror in his wake. The first victim was a young girl who had been searching for eggs in her backyard. Her parents had only turned their backs for a moment, but it was enough time for the killer to strike. The parents screamed in horror as they found their daughter's lifeless body, dressed in a blood-soaked bunny costume. The killer struck again and again, targeting anyone who dared to venture out into the streets. The police were powerless to stop him, as he seemed to disappear into thin air after each killing. As the sun set on the first day of Easter weekend, the townspeople locked themselves in their homes, fearing for their lives. But it was no use. The killer was already inside. The second day of Easter weekend brought more death and destruction. The killer, emboldened by his success, began to leave gruesome messages at the scene of each crime, taunting the police and the townspeople. By the end of the second day, the body count had risen to 15. The town was in a state of panic, with people hiding in their homes and refusing to come out. On the third and final day of Easter weekend, the killer struck for the last time. He had saved his most horrific act for last. He broke into the town's Easter egg hunt and began to mow down the children with a machine gun. The screams of the children echoed through the town as the killer made his escape. When the police arrived, they found 20 bodies strewn across the grass, all dressed in bloodied Easter bunny costumes. The killer was never caught, and the town of Willow Creek was left with a scar that would never fully heal. Every Easter, the residents of Willow Creek would lock their doors and pray that the Easter bunny killer would never return. Despite an intensive investigation, the police were unable to identify the killer. They combed through the town, searching for clues, but found nothing that could lead them to the killer's identity. The residents of Willow Creek were left to live in fear, never knowing if the Easter bunny killer would return. They held memorials every year for the victims, hoping that they would find some closure. Years went by, and the memory of the Easter bunny killer began to fade. But then, on the 10th anniversary of the killings, a new clue emerged. A man was found dead in his home, dressed in an Easter bunny costume, with a note pinned to his chest that read, "I'm sorry." The police were able to trace the man's DNA to the crime scenes of the Easter bunny killings. It turned out that the man was a loner who had been living in Willow Creek at the time of the killings. He had no criminal record, and no one had suspected him of any wrongdoing. As the town learned of the man's identity, they were shocked and horrified. How could someone they had known for years be capable of such evil? The residents of Willow Creek struggled to come to terms with the truth. They wondered if there were any other secrets hidden in their community, any other monsters lurking in their midst. The Easter bunny killer had taken 20 lives, but the damage he had inflicted on the town of Willow Creek was far greater. The residents were left to pick up the pieces, to rebuild their shattered community, and to try to move on from the nightmare that had unfolded over that fateful Easter weekend.